Hello everybody and welcome. This is going to be a real quick tutorial on how to get started using GitHub to modify and edit data files for the BattleScribe data files website. A couple of things before we begin. Make sure that BattleScribe is updated to version 1.14 or higher. That's important. I'm going to assume that you've already signed up to an account on GitHub and you've been added to one of the teams on the BS Data project. And finally, you'll need to download and install the GitHub desktop application. I'm going to be using the Windows one for the purposes of this tutorial. There's a Mac version as well, and it should be much the same on the Mac as well, so it shouldn't be too different. Once you're set up with all of that, what I'm first going to do is just go to manage data here and just confirm where my data files are being stored in BattleScribe. So that's in my Dropbox folder and in the BattleScribe folder. Next, I'm going to fire up the GitHub application. Currently I have no repositories. What I'm going to do is click on BS data here. I should mention that when you first start this app, you'll use your GitHub login details to log in, and then you should see this BS data on the list here. Now if I click that, you can now see all of the repositories that are available up on GitHub. And what I'm going to do is create a clone of the repository that I want to work on, which is going to be the Warhammer 40,000 one. So I'm going to right click on that and click clone to. Now what I want to do is go to the folder that we looked up a moment ago in BattleScribe, the data folder there. So BattleScribe data, and select folder. So we want to clone into this data folder, and it will think about it for a moment. It will pull everything down from GitHub. Now, if I go to this folder now on my computer, you'll see that it's created this Warhammer 40k folder for me in there. Now, this is a special folder. It's a GitHub repository or a clone of the GitHub repository up on the GitHub server. If I open up there, you'll see there's this little Git folder, .git folder in there as well, which marks this folder as being special. Now, of course, we don't want to have two sets of Warhammer 40,000 files. So the first thing I'm going to do is in manage data again, I'm going to remove my repository link for Warhammer 40,000 there. We don't want BattleScribe's automatic updates to interfere with the files that we get from GitHub. So otherwise weird things can start to happen. Alternatively, you can just turn off automatic updates entirely, so whichever you prefer. Second of all, as I say, we don't want to have two sets of 40k files here, so I'm just going to delete this other one here, leaving just the GitHub version. Of course, if you already have files that you've been working on that you might want to add to GitHub, rather than deleting the old file, you might just want to take a copy of it, so you've got your files backed up, and we can incorporate your changes into GitHub in the future. Now, what I can do now that I've got that all set up, I can fire up my catalog editor and start working on some changes. Now, luckily enough, under the Warhammer 40k repository, under issues, I noticed there's already a problem. Nice easy one to fix. The Vulture gunship should be a fast attack choice, not heavy support. So that's a nice easy fix. So I'll load up Astra Militarum and find this Vulture gunship. And sure enough, okay, so we'll switch that to fast attack. Save my catalog. Okay, so I can edit everything just as I normally would, and that's obviously updated my Astra Militarum codex in here, just as you'd expect. Now, once I've made my change, this is where GitHub comes in, so I'll open up the GitHub app again, and I'll double click on my 40k repository, you'll notice it's picked up that I've made a change. And it'll show me exactly what's changed there. So the category ID has been changed. So what I need to do is commit that change. We'll give it a nice title. Fast attack. And because GitHub is clever, I'm going to go back here. This is issue number 29. And I'm going to just type closes #29 and then click commit. Now what that's done is it's taken the changes that I've made and has saved them as a point in history inside this GitHub folder. Of course, there's one thing I've forgotten to do, of course, and that is since I've changed the file, I need to increment the version number. So I'll go back to here and I'll put that up 1 and I'll save again. Okay, back to GitHub. Okay, we've changed the version number, so updated version number. Oops. And I will commit that again. Now we have 2 changes, 2 points in history saved in our local clone of the GitHub repository. So we can go ahead and make changes and commit as much as we like until we're happy. None of these changes will go up onto the GitHub server until we're ready to. In fact, it's recommended to commit little and often, so having lots of small commits for different changes rather than one big commit for multiple changes. It just makes it easier for us to see what's changed. When we're ready and we're happy that this is all good, all we need to do is click sync. And what that's going to do is to take the changes that we've made locally and send them up to GitHub, and it's also going to check GitHub for any changes made by other people and bring those down to my local clone. So now we're all in sync. A point to note, because I cloned this repository fresh, it was obviously completely in sync with what's in GitHub, but it's highly recommended that before you ever start to do any work, you first open up the GitHub app and click sync. That's going to make sure that any changes made by other people up on the GitHub server are copied down to yourself before you start to work. So the closer you are to the version of the files on GitHub, the less likely that you'll run into problems in the future. So always make sure you sync before you make any changes. Make your changes, commit. Make your changes, commit as many times as you like, and when you're ready and happy, synchronize again to send your data back up to GitHub. Now, if I go back to GitHub now, you'll notice that because I typed closes #29 in the commit message, it's gone ahead and marked this as closed. So it's very smart like that. So we know this issue is dealt with. Go back to Warhammer 40,000, and if I look at commits, you'll see my 2 commits, my 2 points in history are now added on along with everybody else's over time, which is great. Now, none of this is available to the public quite yet, not until we do a release. So we can go ahead and make multiple changes, get everything correct before we unleash it on the world at large. So that's all fixed. So what we'll do is we'll push this out to users so they can get our new change. I'll go to releases and I'll draft a new release. So what are we up to? 3.1.0. So this will be 3.1.1. Release title: Fixed Vulture Gunship. Vulture Gunship moved from support to fast attack. It's very important that you give descriptive comments to do with each commit and release and what have you, just so that we can all keep track of what's been done and what needs to be done still. And anybody going through to review your commits will have an idea of what it is they're looking for. So be descriptive when you enter any commit messages or any release messages. And I'll go publish release. and then within about 10 minutes the BattleScribe website will pick up that change, and everything will be available on the website for people to download. And I think that is about it. So that's the basics of cloning a repository from GitHub, making local changes to your clone and committing them before syncing it all up to the GitHub server, and then finally releasing the changes so that the end users can access your changes. I hope that's been useful. Obviously, we're always open to comments and suggestions, and if there's any other questions you have, you can get in contact with us on the GitHub pages. Just feel free to raise an issue under the BS data repository here, and you can ask any questions you like in there, and we'll do our best to help you out. Okay, well, thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.